Good morning everybody, my name is Crystal and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is Monday morning. Good morning everybody, the sun is out. It's another hot day here in Rochester, England in June. So like I said, another hot day, another warm sunny June day, but I can see a bit of a breeze. I can see the trees swaying, so it should be, slightly cooler. What a heat wave we're having, and I see that a load of people flocked to Margate over the weekend. They flocked to Margate, flocked to the beach. Not for me, I'm afraid. No. I had plenty of holidays like that when I was a little girl. It's not for me. I don't mind. When I was younger, yes. Now, that is certainly not for me. No, being stuck right next to somebody like sardines on a beach. No, I don't like it. I'm quite happy where I am. I've got older, and I'm just, it's not for me. That Ramsgate's not so bad because it's cooler down there. The sea and that, it's cooler. That's my cat, Harry. Wait a minute. Harry. Harry, just letting him in. Yeah, Monday morning, brand new week. Let's see what it brings. But you get up sweating, don't you, in this heat? Everybody that's where I am, yeah, you get up and it's just, you're hot and sweaty as soon as you get up. You have a cold shower, it's lovely, and then a few minutes later you're hot and you're sweaty again. And that's what it is. So it's keeping cool, keeping hydrated, and that's it really. So last night I took Max out for a walk, and I hadn't been out at lunchtime, and it's a very, very long day without a break in the middle, being stuck in here at 24, 25, 26 degrees, stuck in here all day, very hot, and not having a break, you know. But I've gone through it before. I think 2023 was a hot year. I just remember sitting all day with my feet in a cold water bowl and sponging myself down with water. That was 2023. So I think this year's hotter myself, because I think the warm weather has gone on for longer, earlier. So the guy upstairs came home early yesterday and he was quiet, he wasn't noisy. So he came in before I went out to walk my dog, and the usual scenario, guys with yellow fluorescent jackets, workman's jackets on, short stocky men going into the co-op. And I went into the co-op yesterday morning, and this is me. I was getting all sorts of funny messages off of TikTok, just silly, stupid messages, people signing up to my TikTok with ridiculous names. I'm short of money, right? So trying to get money out of me is ridiculous, and blackmail is just disgusting. To resort to blackmail and stuff like that is absolutely disgusting. I haven't got much money myself, And this is what happened, just awful. They've scammed my bank account loads of times, and I transfer it now somewhere else, or I keep it on me. So they can't do that. They tried to scam my bank, but I've sorted that out. It's awful. They try and scam people, disabled, vulnerable people that have got no money, because their own situation is bad. They scam others, and other people, when they haven't got money, they go without. And some people are living on the streets. I told you what Hyde Housing tried to do. They tried to get 2 lots of rent money out of me by saying my rent money hadn't gone through. Hyde Housing. And it says when you pay your rent, it takes a while for it to show up on your account. So I paid my rent on Friday, and they were pressurising me all over the weekend for money, and it had already been paid. When Medway Council paid the rent, I wonder if they kept harassing. I remember Medway Council saying to me when I first moved in that they said they can wait. I mean, that they must be making millions from rent, and they're desperate for the little bit of rent that you know what I mean? I'm saying, harassing me over the weekend for rent. And I've told you about gang stalkers, and if you go into a load of gang stalkers videos, present and ex gang stalking victims, they will tell you that these harassers want you to commit suicide. They want to pressurise you so much and make your life feel so worthless that you don't feel like living anymore. And so many times I haven't felt like that, but I felt depressed and not able to know what to do with myself. I also think they're targeting the wrong person, and it's mistaken identity. Possibly the person they were after was my father, and he's dead. Because they keep carping on about Derek, who was my dad. And the way I'm treated is disgusting. And I haven't done anything wrong. And if I had, where's bring the evidence to me? I haven't done anything wrong. It's a dangerous person. They have access to numerous computers. It's organised gang stalking, which means it's neighbour harassment. They're getting the neighbours, my relatives, to stalk and harass me. So it's organised gang stalking. And Charlie lives next to the Freemasons, and they're all in it together. Do you see what I'm saying? So I went out, and I had been stuck indoors all day. I hadn't gone out in the afternoon, so I felt hemmed in, shitty, tired, sweaty, and you know, I had been in the co-op in the morning. I'd seen people, I'd interacted, so I wasn't feeling isolated. I was just feeling hemmed in. And it's hot in here. It's like a rat cage, and you're heating up, and it's horrible. But they thought I'd not got any money, I'd not got any food, I wasn't speaking to anybody. I'd had numerous messages from people in Uganda, Zambia. Can we go onto WhatsApp and talk? And one of them absolutely admitted that he needed money to come over here to help his brother. And I said to them, I said, I've got no money. I can't help you with visas to come over here. And there's about 10 of them 10 of them. Can we go over to Sangi? Can we go over to WhatsApp? I need to come over and help my brother. And I said, I've got no money. And they keep calling me mummy as well. Mummy, can you help me? Mummy. You know, and I know they rip older women off. I've seen it. So I stayed away from that. I had about 20 requests from my phone number, and the British police can't do anything because these guys are in foreign countries. They're not British. So the police can't do a thing, they've told me. So you just say no, no, or you ignore them. And some of them get aggressive and threaten. And that is the truth. So like I said, he came in at 6, I went out at nearly 7 on my own with Max, and I walked across the field and it was busy. There was a lot of people about last night. So I walked onto the field, an old man got out of a car, a bald-headed old man got out of a car. Chris! Chris! There was a guy apparently called Chris who had these posh sunglasses on, you know, more posher than mine. You know, Crystal, Chris, short for Crystal, Chris. The old man called the guy in front of me Chris. It's street theatrics, it's gang stalking. And this Chris was a young man with sunglasses and a really short haircut. And he had 2 dogs and he was struggling to walk them. And I let him go up the top of the path. I walked around and I walked Max. And it was coming off the field that it was busy. Not so much on the field, it was coming off. I've gone into a Russian or Ukrainian website where there's a son and mother living together, a mother and son. And they're living in horrific conditions. And I've tried to offer them some encouragement. I have not got any money. So somebody, when I said help these poor people in the comments, someone said to me, well, why don't you give them some money? Why don't you help them? Well, I haven't got much money myself. And the guy with the camera that records these 2 elderly people who are living in the most horrific conditions imaginable, mother and son, dirty mattresses, they're sleeping on the floor, and a lot of people saying it's a hoax. They are doing it to make people feel sorry for them, so people gift them and give them money. So I don't get involved in that. I stay away from that now. Someone said it's a hoax, they're trying to get money. And the guy that holds the camera that films the couple, Spasiba, Spasiba. And I think that means thank you. And I was coming back off the field, walking down the back of the flats, and no English people, they were all foreign, not English. So an English woman and her family walked past. Spasiba, Spasiba. There are a lot of foreign people living around here, Polish, Chinese, African, as well as white people. It is very much like London down here now. Very much like London. It's like London's moved down to Kent. It's very diverse. It's I don't like living like this. It can be very isolating and lonely because a lot of people down here are foreign. Now, my mother rang me twice. I came home and I got into my flat and I just, it's just hot. You're hot all day long. You're sweating, you're sticky, you're irritable, you're pissed off, you want a bit of relief from it. There's no relief from the heat. It's lovely. I love the sun. I don't want it to stop. I'm not complaining. I'm just explaining that we do not have air conditioning in the UK. There's no air conditioning in properties. We are not used to this heat. That's all I'm saying. I'm not complaining. I don't want it to rain. I don't want it to be freezing. But we are not used to this extreme heat. And we struggle in it, especially the elderly and children. There is no air conditioning. And if it gets so much that we get global warming in the future to the point that we never have winter, that's something that the British need to think about when they're having council properties, is to have air conditioning in them. Because it's going to get worse, the heat. We probably won't start experiencing winter in the future. Global warming. We are overpopulated. There are too many cars on the roads. And you need to look into the future and put air conditioning in properties. Because, especially for children, this flat is suffocating me. I feel suffocated. I get up, I can't breathe. I start walking across the floor and I'm sweating. There's no relief from it. And it's not complaining, it's telling the truth. If we are going to become a hot country, then we need to get air conditioning sorted out, and it shouldn't be expensive. Yeah, I came into my flat. I was just sat down in front of a fan. It doesn't matter how many fans you put on, it's still bloody hot, because the air is hot and it's going round and round and round and round and not escaping. So it doesn't matter how many fans are on, you know, you still feel hot. So I was just trying to keep cool. And there's no point going to bed when you are sweating and hot. So you wait till it gets a bit cooler. So I went to bed at just after 12 a.m. and I laid down and I was just cool, and I must have drifted off to sleep for about an hour and a half, and bang, 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 bang. 2 in the morning. Bang, 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 bang. Next door, walking around in the corridor, 2 a.m. in the morning, and acting like it's during like the day, like bang clutter, bang clutter. It made me jump out my fucking skin. I was getting messages on TikTok at that time. Messages on TikTok, and they're up. They're down the corridor. I'm like, fucking hell, who wandering around the fucking corridor at 2 in the morning? The light's on in the corridor. I'm making sure my door's locked. And the noise, no regards for other people. He had to get up for work at 5 in the morning, and I heard him up at 2. So how many hours sleep did he have? He's got to do a full day's work. They fucking don't give a shit next door. They're up all night, banging about. And that was pissing me off. I just got off to sleep. So for about half an hour, I'm waiting for this fucking noise, whatever it is, to stop. I don't know what it was. And then I get back to sleep, and before you know it, it's time to get up again. And this is what I'm living like. They just don't give a shit next door. And it's not just during the summer, it's the winter. When they first moved in, I thought it was like, oh, it's just they're moving in, they're getting used to the place. It went on for months. They're like vampires. They get up in the middle of the night and start clanking and cluttering about. and walking down the bloody corridor. One day they were walking down the door and they were by the electric meter box shining torches towards my door. Shining torches towards my door. I don't know what's going on. I have to keep myself safe. I never forget to lock the door. It's double locked. It's got a keychain inside and a lock that I lock manually. I sleep with my phone by my bed. Yeah, because there are rapists about. There are. And some gang stalkers rape victims. And they beat them up and they don't care if they're a male or female. You've just got to be careful. Alexa, good morning.
Good morning. Today is International Women in Engineering Day, which raises the profile of women engineers and encourages more people to consider engineering as a profession. To hear about some of my favorite women in maths and science, ask me, who inspires you?
Alexa, who inspires you?
I'm inspired by technology pioneers. I'm a big fan of Ada Lovelace, Hedy Lamarr and Grace Hopper. Without them, it's unlikely you'd be talking to me today.
Alexa, what's the time, please?
Good morning, Crystal. The time is 8:37 a.m.
Alexa, what's the date today?
Today is Monday, the 23rd of June.
Alexa, what's the weather outlook?
Currently, in Rochester it's 18 degrees Celsius with partly sunny skies. Today, you can expect intermittent clouds, with a high of 24 degrees and a low of 13 degrees.
Alexa, can you tell me a joke?
Waiter, waiter, there's a fly in my soup. Not to worry, he won't last long in there.
Alexa, which celebrity was born on this day?
Celebrities born on the 23rd of June include Alan Turing, Edward VIII, Zinedine Zidane, Clarence Thomas, and Joss Whedon.
Sorry, that's helped for a little bit, that actually. Little fan has helped for a little bit. Sounds like a drone itself. You're just aware of people listening and watching all the time. While I'm doing this video, there's noise coming from the wall right opposite where the camera is. I'm fully aware that someone is listening all the time, 24/7, and you either play them at their own game and show them that you don't effing care and let them get on with it. Because the whole point is for them to make you feel horrible. So horrible, you can't stand it anymore. Do you remember the neighbours next door? Fucking move. Fuck off. They've got no consideration for their pets. They use their pets and they use their children. They're the most disgusting, vile people imaginable. Alexa, LBC Radio.
LBC London from Global Player.
To visit Miss Scott the following day. However, they then called her in the morning to say they couldn't find an available police car. Now, when you see Selina Scott's name on the sheet, doesn't a bell ring in your head? Look, for God's sake, if we can't find a car, just let's make sure this one works. It's not beyond the wit of man. So Selina Scott has now said she no longer wishes to pursue the matter. Let's talk about the visibility of police officers. Donna Jones, National Criminal Justice League for the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners, and is herself the Commissioner for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, and joins me now. Look, you know better than I, you're in the game, Commissioner, but the likelihood of a police officer being on the beat and actually walking into a crime is pretty remote. But what does it do about reassurance, seeing him or her on the street? Morning, Commissioner.
Morning, Nick. Thanks for having me on to talk about this. And I do remember Selina Scott very
You can't possibly. You must have been on work experience. I just don't believe it's possible, Commissioner. Do go on.
Well, you know, it's kind of you. But anyway, I mean, look, let's get back to the serious issue here, which is that, you know, these gangs of people are targeting innocent people like Selina Scott going about her business in the centre of London. Now, actually, in that part of London where she is, we know that there are loads of police officers, particularly during shopping times. Really unfortunate she wasn't able to find one to talk to them about it. But these gangs are very clever. They come up, they knock into you, they don't make it obvious that they're like hitting you or grabbing you. You know, it's all very bustling past you, and before you know it, you've had your wallet stolen, your phone stolen, or whatever it is. Some of them are clearly a lot more overt, where you're walking down the road in London with your phone in your hand and someone whips past on one of these bike/motorbike push bike things that are electrified, and they grab the phone and off they go. And actually the Met have got it all to do to keep up with these gangs, and actually, unfortunately, we do believe from information that's been shared that a lot of these gangs are people that have entered the UK illegally, and that's why they've got no recourse to any other kind of money. They can't work, they have no national insurance number, and so they are here almost stagnating for months and years upon end whilst their immigration status is being considered, and they're turning to crime, and we are the victims of that. And it is really sad, and I'm very sorry to hear about what happened to Selina. It must have been quite frightening for her when she realised she had her wallet stolen.
Commissioner, to those who would say, well, we're all the victims of the austerity cuts that were measured in by a previous Conservative administration, how would you respond?
Yeah, well, I think that's a fair point. You know, at the end of the day, it was that balance between overspending by trillions of pounds per year versus austerity to save the value of the pound and to not make sure that interest rates were going up to 15% like we had back in the early 90s. So it was the government's decision of the day around how do we protect the UK economy versus bringing our public spending back in line with our income. And, you know, those were some of the consequences that, yes, the number of police officers on our streets obviously did decrease over the previous decade.
Lastly, how do you work with your Chief Constable and the officers for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight as regards visibility? Do you try and get as many men and women out on the street as you can? Do you prefer to have them in cars? What's your thinking there?
Yeah, well, I absolutely do. I funded 815 more police officers over the last 4 years in my police force. And I've also made the number of police officers recruited and police visibility as my top 2 priorities in my police force area. In fact, my new Chief Constable, Alexis Boone, is currently a Deputy Assistant Commissioner in the Met. He starts with me on the 4th of August. He is actually in charge of local policing in the Metropolitan Police Service at the moment. So he's got around 24,000 police officers under him. So these are exactly the sort of things that he knows about. He stood up a number of operations, and I'm hoping that for my police force area here in Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, that is going to mean good proactive operations to be able to tackle people who are committing knife point robberies and street-based robberies such as we've seen here with Selina Scott.
Grateful as ever for your time. Thanks, Commissioner. Donna Jones, who concedes she does remember Selina Scott, is the National Criminal Justice League for the Association of Police and Crime Commissioners and is the Commissioner for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight. Now, we might be taking calls on that. When did you last see a police officer, particularly in a busy city such as London or Manchester or wherever else you would, excuse me, that's hay fever, I do apologise, less wherever you might be. But we're talking about Iran. James is in Barnes. James, what should Sir Keir's position be now, and do you feel safer? Good morning.
Morning, Nick. I don't feel safer because of Sir Keir, but I do feel, as much as I despise Netanyahu and what he's done in Gaza, in this respect, I think people are making ridiculous assumptions, Nick, that this has been planned, as everybody knows, for years. And my assumption is that if the Israeli Mossad are so entrenched in Iranian society, they were able to take out all the leaders of the armed forces in one swoop, and that they were vetoed by Trump to assassinate the supreme leader, then they know how much the uranium is being enriched in Iran. They know far more than the International Atomic Agency because the Iranians are being
Or are they just reporting what Israel wants to hear, James? How much is that a danger?
That is a danger, but there is, of course, that's why I'm making this as an assumption, that Mossad and Israel have presented Trump with, in their eyes, their evidence that this is what Iran has actually got. And I think that's why Trump made that decision. I think all this analogy that this is like Iraq and the weapons of mass destruction, that was a reason to actually go to war. And I think that there is a big differential here.
Lastly, James, what do we want to hear or see from Sir Keir now?
I think we want to see Sir Keir actually get off his fence, as Grant Shapps was suggesting, and he needs to sort of stand up. I mean, either he disagrees or he agrees.
Well said, James. Coming up after the news, a unique opportunity for you to give your view and verdict on how the government has spent £500,000 of our money on a refresh for a logo. I'll explain how you can get involved and how I will be informed by your involvement. Stay tuned. It'll be about 10 or 20 of you to tell me exactly where we stand on that. I'll explain how after this. It is 8:45. LBC News headlines. Thomas Watts.
The Armed Forces Minister has repeatedly declined to say if the UK backed or opposed US strikes on Iran. President Zelensky is expected to visit the UK today for talks with Sir Keir Starmer. And electricity costs for thousands of businesses are to be cut by up to 25%. LBC weather, fresh, bright and breezy, a high of 24 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Joanne. We're very slow on the M25, anti-clockwise to junction 2 at the A2. It's all down to an accident where one lane is closed. Then it's also slow on the M20 westbound to junction 4 at Leybourne, and that's where a car's broken down and one lane is closed for recovery. The M1's also very busy southbound to junction 11 at Dunstable South. That's where a lorry has broken down. The A12, the Ingatstone bypass, very busy southbound to junction 13, and that's because of a load of debris across the road. In Hounslow, the High Street stays closed both ways, and no Woolwich ferry running. The ferry is suspended because of the high tide. On the trains, London Overground's Lioness line is suspended between Euston and Willesden Junction.
This is LBC.
You're looking good, you're looking sharp, you've come so far.
Right, so Selena Scott has had her wallet stolen. I didn't know that. I haven't been watching the television, so there'll be people out there that don't know who Selena Scott was. Selena Scott, television presenter. This is what Selena Scott used to look like. Selena Scott used to look like that. She was a television presenter, very pretty. She was like a pin-up television presenter. Selena Scott. And this is what Selena Scott looks like now, and this is why, you know, people say, oh, people get older. That's what Selena Scott looks like now. We all get old, do you see? All of us get old. So Selena Scott was a beauty. So, how old is Selena Scott now? She was a pin-up. 74 years old. 74. So, there you are. That's how she was, and that's how she is now. She's 74. Someone stole her wallet in London. Old lady. And here we go on to the piece. She's an old lady now. Former ITV star, 74, rages at the Metropolitan Police after falling victim to a violent gang assault in London. Furious at the lack of police on the streets. The incident left Selena Scott feeling battered, confused and humiliated. So, she was a television presenter. She's been robbed in London. No police on the street.